Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the webinar, and if folks join us midway in, they will figure out what's going on. First of all, I want to thank you for joining us for PRNDI's Investigative and Enterprise Reporting webinar. I'm really excited about this. I know NPR in particular and a number of individual stations have been putting a lot of resources and thought into doing investigative and enterprise reporting, and so we're really excited at PRNDI to be able to offer this webinar for you. And I'm particularly excited about the guys that we have that are going to be our presenters today. I saw them talk a couple of years ago and walked away with a full folder worth of story ideas and things to investigate and threads to look at that I still haven't gotten to most of them, but I've got a huge to-do list, which doing this webinar reminds me that I've got to get back to. So let's talk a little bit first about who we are. This guy that you're looking at right here, this is Charlie Ornstein, and he is the senior reporter with ProPublica. And he was a lead reporter for a series in the LA Times that won a Pulitzer Prize and several other awards. There wasn't enough room on the screen here to list them all. In 2005, it was an investigative series about troubles at a local hospital. If you have a chance to look up the series, it's amazing. You need to look at it, absolutely. He also had a ProPublica series about caregivers in California that was a finalist for the 2010 Pulitzer Prize. That's another one you should be looking at as well. And he's the president of the Association of Healthcare Journalists and a former Kaiser Family Foundation Media Fellow. I want to put in a plug for the Association of Healthcare Journalists. If you ever cover healthcare, you know, this is a great organization. I'm on their listserv, and I get their story idea lists weekly, which are amazing. And so it's a great resource for you. I think every newsroom that even remotely covers healthcare should consider getting a membership in the organization. So Charlie is with us. Thank you so much for joining us, Charlie. Also up, we've got Carl Stark, and he is the health and science editor at the Philadelphia Inquirer. Before he became an editor, he was a health reporter covering the business of healthcare. He was covering insurers and hospitals and things like that. He's won a lot of awards for his reporting as well, his investigative reporting. And some of his reporting triggered criminal investigations and some convictions in the Allegheny health system. He's also associated with the Association of Healthcare Journalists and has helped design a web course for their reporters on how to cover your local hospital. A little bit of added trivia on Carl. He was a tennis player at Yale, if I'm not mistaken, and also blogs about jazz for NPR, I believe. So that's pretty cool, too. It kind of comes full circle. So let's talk a little bit about how this works. The way that this webinar works is that Charlie and Carl are going to be presenting. We don't want 27, 30, or 40 people breathing heavily into the phone throughout the webinar. So we have all of you on mute, but that doesn't mean that you can't ask a question. If you're looking at the right-hand side of your screen, and you should have a box that tells you, the status of the webinar and that sort of thing, there's a box that has questions where you can put a question in. And you can ask a question of Charlie or Carl in there, and I'll make sure that I read it out loud to them so that they're able to answer that question for you. So it's pretty easy to do, and I'll be following that questions box as we go so that you can ask questions at any time. We are going to leave about 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the webinar for you to ask questions of them as well, but they're fine with asking anything during their presentations and interrupting them with questions. So if you've got a question, just put it in the question box. Other than that, what I charge these guys with doing is giving us a presentation so that we can walk away with something that is hands-on, practical, that we can implement in our newsroom. I like to go to conferences and attend webinars where I walk away with, this is something that I can implement immediately, or this is a story idea, or this is how to find resources. So that's what I've asked them to do. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Charlie, and we will let him proceed.